Yo, Shortbox Nation, this is Botter, and I'm here to tell you right now that con season starts early this year with the return of Northeast Florida's premier anime, comic book, and sci-fi event, Collective Con. That's right, Northeast Florida's largest pop culture convention returns for its 10th year on March 8th through the 10th at the Prime Osborne Center in Jacksonville, Florida. 10 years of Collective Con, they're pulling all the stops out to make sure this is a can't-miss event. And the guest list they got going, don't even get me started on the guest list. I mean, they've got A-list celebrity guests and voice actors from some of your favorite movies, anime, and video games like Elijah Wood and Sean Ashton, Ray Park, Trisha Helfer, Ross Marquand, Max Middleman, and Bo-Katan herself will be there, Katie Sackhoff. Tell me what other convention is giving you the opportunity to meet Frodo and Sam from Lord of the Rings, Darth Maul, and One Punch Man all under the same roof. Only at Collective Con. And if you're looking to get some of your favorite comics signed, or if you want to get an original sketch from some of the best comic artists in the world, well, you're in luck, because there'll be plenty of comic and creator guests there, like DC comic artist extraordinaire Clay Mann, Harvey Award-nominated illustrator John Taylor Christopher, Marvel and DC cover artist Chris Stevens, and acclaimed Star Wars author Timothy Zahn. They'll all be at Collective Con this year. And if you're looking to bring the family, or if you want to make a weekend out of it, you're in luck, because there'll be so much going on at Collective Con that weekend in the form of vendors, fan panels, video game tournaments, cosplay contests, after parties, and a bunch of fan events. You can purchase single and 3-day weekend passes now using the link in this episode's show notes, or by going to collectivecon.com to book your tickets and hotel. Buy your tickets now, and I'll see you at Collective Con, March 8th through the 10th. Now let's start the show. Yo, Shortbox Nation. What's up? It's me, Botter, here to chat for you before this episode officially starts, just to give you some context as well as tell you about some things that we got going on that I think you might enjoy. The audio you're about to hear is from a HeroesCon panel that I moderated this past weekend featuring Jonathan Hickman and Skottie Young. As you can imagine, the panel ended up being absolutely amazing. Not only do you have two absolute giants in the comic industry on this panel, but they brought such great energy and even better stories and insight from their very long and very successful careers. If you're going into this blind or unaware of whom these two gentlemen are, no worries, it won't stop you from enjoying this panel, but I guarantee by the end of it, you'll probably want to buy every single comic they've ever done, and I'm here to say I encourage that. Now, there is a video version of this panel on our YouTube. I'll link to that in the show notes, so check that out if you want to see the full thing. And if you're a fan of world building or the fantasy genre, whether it's books or comics, or you're an aspiring creator looking to take your project to the next level, I highly recommend that you check out the other panel I did at HeroesCon with Eisner Award-winning creators Charles Vess and David Peterson over on our Patreon. We got the video and audio there as well. That panel was chock full. I mean, seriously, just so much great information and advice for anyone that wants to know more about world building and illustrating fantasy comics. That panel, that audio and the video from that panel will stay a Patreon exclusive for a little bit, if I'm being honest. But it's absolutely worth becoming a Patreon subscriber to get access to not only that, but all the other great bonus episodes and videos and content that we've got in the vaults. You can sign up for as little as $1, so the price of a candy bar. I don't know if $1 buys you candy bar anymore nowadays. I'm old as hell. But regardless, the point is you can sign up for our Patreon for pretty cheap over at patreon.com/theshortbox, or just use the link in the show notes and go from there. Besides that, I'm about to sign out so you guys can enjoy this episode and hear this panel for yourself. Just make sure that you come back next week when the rest of the crew, when Ashley, Cesar, and Ed come back, we'll be celebrating the upcoming release of Thor: Love and Thunder. That movie comes out really soon. We'll be talking about the 2013 comic series Thor the God Butcher, which first introduced Gore to the Marvel Universe, who is being played by Christian Bale in this new movie, which I find pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to the movie. Anyway, here's the episode for you. I hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you next week, all right? Peace. HeroesCon 2022. How are we feeling today? I like that. That's good. All right, so I don't mean to be that guy, and we're just getting to know each other, but I've got a small favor to ask you. There is a panel taking place, I think, across the hall, and then right next to us. I want to get so loud that they get jealous that they're not in this room with us. So I'm going to try that one more time, but let's keep that in mind, all right? HeroesCon 2022, how are we doing today? Thank you. That is what I'm talking about. Look, it's Friday. I'm not in front of my work computer. I'm here at HeroesCon celebrating the 40th anniversary. Like, I'm in a great mood, all right? So we're going to have a good time here, all right? So thank you, first of all, for taking the time to show up in today's panel. I know there's a lot of great things going on at the convention floor, but I'm happy to have you guys here, as well as I'm sure our esteemed guests shared the same feeling. Now, but before I introduce them, I want to go and introduce myself to all of you. My name is Botter Milligan. I am the host of the long-running comic book podcast, The Short Box. We consider ourselves the best comic book podcast this side of the multiverse, and I say that with a money-back guarantee. If you don't like our podcast, I'll give you your money back. Luckily, the podcast is free, so it's a win-win for the both of us, all right? But jokes aside, if you enjoy entertaining and well-researched comic discussions and reviews or interviews of the best creators in the industry like the folks we'll have on here shortly, check out The Short Box on your favorite podcast app when you get home. It means a lot to me, all right? And you might hear this panel on the show next week. So I advise and encourage you guys to take part in the Q&A that'll happen at the end of it. So if you have questions throughout it, save it. I'll give everyone a chance to ask any burning questions they got. Now, with that out of the way, today's panel is going to be a fun, laid-back conversation between two certified comic legends. I think between these two gentlemen, they've got at least, if not more, than 20 years of professional comic-making experience. Both of them each have their own long list of Eisner-nominated and winning bodies of work. They have amassed a loyal and very loud fan base, rightfully so, right? We're talking about two of the best. And I don't think there's any hyperbole to be found in saying that they are two of the best creators making comics today, and they're taking time out of their busy convention schedule to be here with us and speak and whatnot. So let's make them feel really welcome, all right? HeroesCon 2022. Let's give a warm welcome to our panel today, featuring Skottie Young and Jonathan Hickman. It's always that ledge.
That was about a scene right there. Almost tripped up the steps. That would have been great. That was not intentional. That was actually me almost busting my ass.
That wasn't in practice. We didn't practice that one.
Oh, hello. You guys all coming out. Welcome to the world again. It's good to be back.
Was there a HeroesCon last year? A smaller one?
No.
No, this is
I
it,
think
right?
this is the first one in the last 2 years, I believe.
You guys pumped to be back? Yes.
Is this the first one you've done?
First con?
Yeah.
No. But yes. Right? No. I did a WonderCon for.
I saw the pictures. You went to Disney World.
I went to Disneyland. Yeah. They were like, "Do you want to come out to WonderCon?" I was like, "No, but yes." My children want to go to Star Wars Land.
And Skottie, you're pretty much a staple when it comes to HeroesCon. I feel like every time I've been here, you've had a booth and whatnot.
Yes, I've been coming here for almost 20 years. I've only missed a few.
Wow.
And I was telling my friend Megan, who this is her first HeroesCon, who awesomely runs my company and is one of our best friends, that this is a family. This is the only show that I go to where I feel like I'm coming home to family, whether it's the people who run it, own it, work it, the friends that I get to see. Well, the people I get to see. Even the fans. It's really truly the first convention where the fans that would come to the table sometimes would end up becoming friends, and we'd start going to dinner. So it really is a family-oriented show, and I just love it. And it's awesome for this to be my first big show back. What about you? Is this your first one?
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been out of the house in 2 years. I have a little bit of a panic attack.
Jonathan and I did a lot of Zooming.
That's true. Like computer drinking.
Yeah. We called them meetings.
Yeah.
We just called them meetings. They're like, "Hey, how are you doing today, buddy? How's it?"
Well, I guess that leads me to my first question here, because I feel the love and energy coming between you two, and from you guys. Can you recall what was your first time meeting each other, or what was your first, I guess, conscious exposure to each other's bodies of work or work?
Man, it's so hard to remember now.
It's here, wasn't it?
Huh? I think it was here. Yeah, it was. Somebody came by the table today, and I said, I got a panel later today, and they're like, "Oh, what's the panel?" I was like, it's just me and Jonathan Hickman just talking. And the guy came and he goes, "Just John, you and Jonathan Hickman?" And he was like, "You guys," and I was like, "Oh yeah, he's one of my best friends." And And when he goes, what? And I realized, like, people don't realize that, right? When you start looking at it, like, and then I tried to think, I was like, yeah, we met. I just couldn't even remember it because it just feels like
it was here.
Right.
It was here. And I had my first comic book out ever.
Yes.
So it was
2007, yeah.
And,
it was.
Like, I didn't even have a trade out yet. It was like the second issue of a book I did called Nightly News.
Mm-hmm.
And Skottie came up to the table and he's like, hey man, I really dig your work. And I was like, thank you, big sexy. And he was like, I'm Skottie Young. I was like, I know who you are. You know? And honestly, I think we have hung out at every single thing we've been together since then.
That's it. Yeah. Jonathan and I, we did that, and we introduced each other. We met each other there, and then we instantly, the first time we got a break, we just walked around the show together buying art books. Because Jonathan, he was like the first fellow pro that I met that has an equal love for just collecting art. And I'm not talking about original art, just like finding new styles in art. So we just walked to every table and was like, oh shit. Basically like, okay, should we get this guy a job or be like, nah, let's tell him he's got a couple years left. So he doesn't take our job. You know what I mean?
Do you recall any of those artists that you were meeting at like young in their career? Like any names that come to mind?
Oh yeah. Actually, again, Heroes. These all come back to Heroes. You'll remember this. I think we all went out to dinner this night. 2000. I can't remember the year. It doesn't matter. James Heron. Who in here knows James Heron? Right? Badass, right? Like one of the first years I think the first year he
showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah, he just showed up. I had seen his stuff online, but then when I met him, like when I saw his stuff online, I was waiting to meet like a 40-year-old because he was a master. What I did meet was a 25-year-old who was just like, hello. And I was like, oh, man. And he had all his artwork, and he had been doing these sketches. I was like, are you selling these? He's like, yeah. He's just quiet, really quiet guy. I was like, well, I mean, like, how much? He's like, I don't know, like 100 each. I was like, oh, yeah? 100 each? And I was like, I just started taking. I was like, are you sure? Just 100? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Got some more. And then later I was like, man, and we were going to dinner on the channel. I was like, you fucked up, right? I was going to buy him regardless. But yeah, James Heron's definitely one of them.
Trad Moore
is somebody that we fell in love with when he was. See, that's the beauty of this show.
Well, this is a comic book show.
Yeah.
Unlike all the Reed shows and stuff.
Yeah,
like
this
that.
is a real one.
Like this is just a comic book show, and so it's wall to wall.
Yeah.
So when you walk in Artist Alley and stuff like that, it's just people trying to get in and people who are in, and Stuart Eminence sitting beside some guy that you've never heard of but is amazing.
Yeah.
And
do you know who I'm getting ready to meet in person today?
Who's that?
For the first time.
I don't know.
Have you?
I don't know the answer to this question.
Well, that's what I was trying to get you to guess.
Oh,
Stuart
Eminence?
No, I met him a lot. He's grumpy.
He is.
Who would I flip out if I met in person? Even though I've texted him, talking on the phone.
I don't have any idea.
Chris Pacello.
Wait, you've never met Chris?
Not in real life, dude.
I'm sitting right beside him.
Are you serious? Is he here already?
I haven't been to my table yet.
Jonathan, everybody, he's here for you guys, the fans.
Yeah, I've never met Chris either.
In person, right?
It's like so high. I'm so excited.
I know. Where's Megan at? Where you at? Megan's back there. On the plane, I'm just like scrolling through, and then I go, oh my God, Chris Pacello's going to be at Heroes. And she's like, what does that mean? Megan's she's not familiar with I was like, he's my favorite artist from high school. And I told her the story of when I was doing the Oz books. I did the Oz books. Anybody know what those books were? Okay.
Yeah.
When I was doing the Oz books, I did a cover, and Chris emailed me and was like, hey, do you have a few minutes to hop on the phone? I had some questions about how you did this thing on this cover. And I was like, so I went to the bathroom really quick. Just had some personal time, no big deal. And then I called him, and I'm a pretty cool, calm, collected dude, but I was on the phone with him. He had to think I was on cocaine. I was just like, huh? Yep. No, then you just do this, and you dodge and burn it, and then you thing it, and then the layer, and then you think, what else do you want to know? Do you like grilled cheese? Do you want to come over? What are you doing right now? But so I did text him from the plane, like, are you coming to Heroes? And he's like, yeah. You know what? I'm just going to read the text. That's how excited I am. Are you excited now that you're going to meet him?
Yeah, but I would never text him. I want to be cool.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this, but in a minute I'm going to make him tell you his Chris Claremont story. It's the best one. Hey, Skottie, how are you? Yes, Charlotte, this weekend. My one and only social goal is to finally meet you in person.
Life goals.
Let me see that.
No!
This is exactly how he gives notes on your script. But it's just like a haiku, and it doesn't.
Well, I will say this. See how many spaces he's correct. Yeah, it is a weird text.
Every single thought is double spaced.
But let me tell you this. This is a text. So you know to get this much of a block, you have to literally hit enter. Do you know how many times he had to hit enter to get a 6-inch space between? He signed his text. I texted you.
Proof.
That's why I love him.
Jonathan, can you recall a moment where maybe you geeked out about meeting like one of your comic idols or legends or another fellow creator at a convention? Have you ever had like one of those fan out moments?
I kind of embarrassed myself with with Frank.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I mean, that was...
I did too.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, of course, but he's so nice.
He's so nice.
It's like not weird. It's just kind of like... Let's just get past this and get to the real you. Something like this. But I think I kind of was really excited to meet him because he's just so good. Everybody else that I've really, really wanted to meet, wasn't that awesome.
Yeah.
No, like you love Mike Mignola, but you meet Mike Mignola and it's just Mike Mignola.
Yeah.
Right? He's just a normal human being.
He's like, cool, you like me. Everybody likes me. You like me.
Exactly. I'll tell you a story. I met Jeff Darrow for the first time, and I was with Brian Michael Bendis, and we had been at a, Brian Michael Bendis is a comic book writer from North America. And we had been at like stewarding, had a stewarding as a art book dealer who has
Jonathan and I have spent our wives hate us a little bit for how much money we spend at stewarding.
More than I spent on my wife's wedding. Yes. Have I spent at stewarding? Anyway, so like $50. Brian had bought this like really rare French edition of something Jeff had done, and he took it to Jeff to get him to sign it. It was the first time I had met him, and he was like, "Hey, how are you guys doing?" And he starts having a conversation with Brian, and who cares what they were saying, right? It was just them talking about whatever they were talking about. But I watched as Jeff Darrow he was signing Brian was like, Mr. Darrow, will you please sign my book, right?
Yeah.
And I watched as Jeff Darrow drew a car flying through the clouds, and he only picked his pencil up off the paper twice.
Wow.
I was just sitting there, and and he was talking to Brian the whole time.
Yeah.
It was.
And he's one of the guys that truly doesn't comprehend, or if he does, he doesn't let on that how much we revere him.
Yeah, no, I don't think he gets it.
Yeah, if you meet Jeff Darrow, it's really just like me. You could just be meeting a guy at a diner. Yeah. That's like, I'm just drawing on this napkin.
Yeah, it's really like
I'll just do this. So.
Truck stop.
Yeah,
truck stop
and he's so humble and nice, and just like I just happened to do this.
But insanely talented, and I sat there and I was like, and then when they finished, Brian was like, "Jonathan, aren't you going to say anything?" And I was like, "You just drew that fucking picture without being."
Mine was not as much in person as it was years ago, and this show is again special for this because it was one of his kind of staple shows. But Mike Wieringo, for me, who has passed away years ago now. But when I was a very young cartoonist and felt very lost in an industry that I grew up reading comics in the 90s and early 2000s where cartoony illustrative art was the thing. So that's, of course, was like, yes, I could go and do this. And as soon as I broke in, they were like, well, we're kind of doing a Brian Hitch thing now. We kind of want everything to look like a movie panel. So I don't know what to do with you anymore. And so it felt weird. And a guy like Mike Wieringo, who was a legend, legendary runs on books with Fantastic Four and with Flash and Impulse and these books with Mark Waid. He's a legend in this industry. All of a sudden, what I didn't realize at the time was also feeling that way. But similar to how Jonathan and I feel about art, he was an art lover, and he did not care if you were a pro or somebody who just walked in the door yesterday. And one day my phone rang, and it was Mike Wieringo, and I was at a place where I don't know that I knew a pro. Like, I don't know. I mean, I was a pro, technically. You know what I mean? You know that time where you first break in, but nobody knows you and you know nobody? So you're like, I don't know what I am here, you know? And Mike called me, and he was just like, I got your phone number from, I think, Kari Randolph, and I just want to tell you, I just really love your stuff. It's got a great energy. I was like, oh, thank you. And over the course of, the next 5 years, you just became such a good friend. But I could not believe that this guy, that comic, I'd read Telos and all of his books, and all of a sudden he is on the phone. This is early internet days too. There's no FaceTime and shit like that, right?
So it costs for him to call
you. Yeah, it's
you.
literally like I got one of those like ridiculous truck driver situations. I look like I'm landing planes at O'Hare. Like, can you hear me, Mike? And he just called, and we would talk about art, and this is one of our first kind of connections was our love of French albums and French comics. And back in the day, you couldn't find those. You had to go to Stuart Ing Books, and we would talk about these artists from France and all over Europe with Mike. And I just remember being like, I can't believe this is happening. This is my life right now. I'm 25. I'm 25. I'm 26. I draw necks way too long, and I don't notice it until they're in print. Like shit like that. And here, this master of the craft is just literally being like, "You want to be my friend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I definitely want to be your friend." So that was he is the first person to me that, if you want to like say be a mentor or whatever, but I didn't feel like he reached out to do that. He reached out because he was looking for someone who felt. He was looking for people. He was collecting his people that felt the same way about art. And now that he's been, he's been gone from us for so long. I remember when Rocket Raccoon. I wrote and drew Rocket Raccoon, and I mean, the first issue sold like 350,000 copies, and the first thing I wrote was, man, I want to tell Mike. I wish Mike was here to tell him that a book about a talking animal and a tree just is the #1 book in comics. You know what I mean? Yeah. I wanted to be able to reach out to Mike and tell him that.
That's a beautiful story. And Skottie, I'm going to stay on you for this question, then I'm going to go to Jonathan next. But we spent a good amount of time talking about fellow creators, peers and colleagues that you guys look up to. But I want to shift the attention to meeting the fans, right? And I think that's the beauty of coming to a convention like HeroesCon. I feel like you guys really get to meet the fans that take in and respect your work. When you consider that, you said that you've been coming to HeroesCon for the last 20 years. This one's the big 40th anniversary, which is amazing, right? What's a memorable fan experience moment that you had, or an exchange with someone that with a fan or a collector? Is there one that kind of comes to mind, or you kind of keep?
Oh, I mean, they happen all the time. I mean, again, Heroes is great. We have a couple here. These are my homies. They literally, if I need to know something about my career, I just email them.
They're the walking.
They have it, man. They know.
Hey, what book did I do in 2011 again?
We've had a big conversation today because they got a checklist and they're keeping it secret. They won't give it to anybody. I told you I was going to put you on blast today, right? But they literally they are so supportive, and it's not just that. My Bojangles my breakfast this morning was from a gift card that they gave me at the last show. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's family. That feels like family. We have cool. Elizabeth, Jimmy. They're probably not in here. They don't do panels. They're like, we know him too long.
They're too
now.
Cool, man.
They're like, we know him too long now. We're going to go into his panels, right? But I met them here, and they were a couple who, my first sketch that I did of them was of them, and then the next year it was like, hey, draw all the crumbs that live in Jimmy's beard, and you just get to a place where it's not, I mean, I know it always, when you walk around, it looks like there's a line and there's a person on this side of the table and there's a bunch of people on this side of the table, but I don't know that we ever start feeling that feels like, I still feel like I could easily, today, I'm going to easily be on the other side of the table, I'm not going to wait in line. I'm a big fucking deal, but I could be in line for Chris Bocello. I'm not going to be, but I could be. You know what I mean? So I think for me, I'm still just a nerd who likes art and likes comics and likes movies. And so it's impossible for me not to talk about this stuff when these people are in the line. So I don't view it as anything other than my wife doesn't like to talk about this nerdy shit, right? I got to talk about it with somebody. I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about what happened in here? And she's like, no. Do you want to watch some murder shows? Yeah. You're the same, right? Lori doesn't want to hear about this stuff, right?
I don't think she's ever read.
You do comics?
No. We joke all the time. We're like, I'll just be like, Casey, what's the last comic I did?
Yeah. That's
She's
not
like,
true.
I got to go to the bathroom.
My wife read the first thing that I did when we were breaking in and we were super broke,
right?
And trying to make it work and all that kind of stuff. But then, she hasn't read. She's like, I tried. Now it's not as bad of a burn as my oldest son. He goes out of the way to tell me. He's like, Dad, I was on Marvel Unlimited today, reading a bunch of books. And I was like, yeah, what were you reading? He was like, I read some Fantastic Four by Dan Slott, my favorite writer.
Well, John, I got a question for you because it was cool to hear, your stories about you geeking out about meeting, like Jeff Darrow and being really impressed. And I know early on in your career, you wore a few hats when it came to the comic making process. You illustrated and wrote Nightly News and Pax Romana, and you've also got experience, in inking, lettering, and coloring. I was curious, aside from writing, which part of the comic making process is your favorite?
Well, lettering sucks. But that's it. If you are doing everything yourself, it's really tedious when you get to that point. That's not a lettering isn't fun. That's just Jesus, I just want to be done.
Right.
I like all of that better than the writing. I like all of that stuff better than writing. That's it.
Full stop. It's like
mic drop.
That's it.
Mic drop.
I write a bunch of stuff, but there's a part of me, a little tear. I wish I was drawing on my own book.
Jonathan, every year we talk about the book Jonathan's going to draw every year.
This is the year.
And now I feel like I've been sucked into that side of life. I feel like you should have warned me that once I jumped over, I would never go back. Because every year I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, fuck.
I think what I told you was write your own books.
You did. Jonathan.
But also draw them and keep all the money. Is what I told
That's true. Jonathan is not solely, but a big, big reason.
Solely.
A big, big reason for me jumping over. Jonathan and I had talked for a very long time about doing a project together. And one of probably the only people that I fully was going to commit to. A lot of my friends, writer friends, would be like, hey, want to draw something one day? I'm like, you can't afford that.
Skottie would solicit pitches from all the best writers in comics and then tell them how terrible their pitches were.
I did that. I did do that, yeah. I was like, could you? I want to work with you, but maybe something better. Just, yeah. But Jonathan and I, again, having such similar tastes in what we dig, would be like, oh, check this shit out, or listen to this song, or look at this animated thing, and we'd cook up a few things. But then we're both busy dudes, and one time we were at a Marvel retreat, and he and I had the same car on the way back to the airport after the week, and we were riding, and I was like, hey, do you think we're ever gonna? I was like, what do you think? Are we going to do the thing this year? What do you really think? And he goes, dude, this is exact words. He goes, listen, you don't need me. You're Mike Mignola, and you just don't know it yet. That's exactly his exact words. And I was like, I do talk like that. It's got some monsters in it. Okay. But then after that, I got home, and I was like, he's right. And then I published I Hate Fairyland. And then that worked out. I did write and draw it, and I kept all the money, and it was great. But also, I was so tired. It's so much work.
It is a lot of work.
And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a break. I did 20 issues of I Hate Fairyland, and I was like, I'm going to take a break for a year. I'll just write a series with Jorge Corona. I'll write, we wrote Middle West. Jorge was drawing it, and I thought, I'll just take a breather for a year. I've been drawing sequentials, interior pages for, at that point, 17 years. I'm tired. So I'll just take a year break. That was 4 years ago. And now I'm like the Jonathan who's like, I see all these badass artists just dunking on everyone. I'm like, I want to do that too. I just need to write 38 more scripts that I owe people.
Exactly right.
And you always think man, if I just get to Monday, but you're like, what am I going to do Monday? Write the other 16 scripts waiting for me? So, yeah.
Skottie, whether it be writing or drawing, do you have a ritual when it comes to getting the creative juices flowing or getting in the mood? Do you have a go-to album, or do you have a movie that you like to play in the background to kind of get in that mindset?
Not really. I mean, writing, it's a little different. Nothing to get me in the mindset, but when I'm in it, depending on what I'm writing, I have different playlists, and it's always scores and,
Yeah, you can't listen to stuff with words, right?
No. It's all, if I'm writing Middle West, I had some really cool good folky instrumental playlists or, Strange Academy is a lot of.
Everyone lies about this. The answer is the Gladiator soundtrack.
So good. Mine is often the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack. Yeah. Oh, is it the Gladiator one? It's where he's touching the wheat?
Yeah. It's literally like 4 or 5 soundtracks that everybody listens to.
Yeah, that's it. Mine is, I've written way too many books to the Mad Max Fury Road soundtrack, so when I get home on those days, Casey's like, you're just annoying, because it's just like, but yeah, I will do music scores, but I'm also, I'm a weirdly kind of rigid schedule person. Like I work 8 to 5, like 8 to 4, like every day. Like at 4 or 5, like whatever's done is done. I don't care if it's due tomorrow. If it's not done, then just like, that's it. My workday's done. Like, so I'm weird. I don't really like, I think when you do this and you have as many projects sometimes as we do, it's very difficult to just be like, wait for the muse or like develop a thing. It's like, I got to get to work and do it now because my kids, the other day, my son Milo was like, the night before, he's like, hey, you want to come play Smash Brothers with me? I was like, I kind of don't. But I promise I will tomorrow. Please forget. Please forget. Smash Brothers is like, the game sucks. It's terrible. I was like, I will play fucking Tekken with you I will fucking Eddie Gordo you, fucking dance fight you all day. But Smash Brothers sucks, son. Yeah. So you think he's gonna forget? He does not forget. As soon as I walk in the door next day, he's like, Dad, did you forget Super Smash Bros? I was like, I didn't. Also, I'm gonna tell. This is a good story. Megan knows the story. We went on a vacation to Minnesota last week. Nobody believes my son's memory is as awesome as it is. He said in the book, VRBO book, it was like, hey, make sure that you save one morning to wake up early and see the sunrise. And I'm like, oh, cool. There's the sun. But my son Milo, he's 6, almost 7, hears this. He goes, Megan, he likes Megan a lot. Megan, will you watch a sunrise with me tomorrow? And of course, everybody, whenever Milo's cute face asks you questions, they all go, of course, you're a child. I will say yes. Never anybody, all of us don't intend to do it. 5:30 in the morning, because he looked on his iPad at what time the sun comes up. 5:30 in the morning, he rolls up at Megan and her husband's room. Megan is in bed with her husband. I don't know how many clothes were on. Probably not enough for my son to be in there tapping her on the shoulder at 5:30 going, Megan, do you remember about the sun? That's my son. Yeah, so I had to play Smash Brothers. Yeah, so I get to work and I'm like, am I inspired? Yes, no, but let's do it. Let's just get into it. And I think once you start breaking down that wall after time, you just, weirdly enough, it becomes a job as well,
Yeah, if I don't get my 2 hours, 5 pages done by like 1 o'clock, the day's a disaster.
Yep.
Because everybody start calling and emailing and
right.
meetings and that kind of stuff. It's impossible. So you've got to get done early. Mm-hmm. And I don't. And so I hate myself. I go to bed angry.
Then he texts me, what are you doing?
My kid's like, you want to play Super Smash Bros? I'm like, fuck you, kid. I'm not even your real dad.
You guys were talking early on about how you guys would, it sounded like walk through like Artist Alley, visit different artists, up and coming, and you guys got to meet a few, names that are predominant now. So I was curious with that in mind and how many, aspiring comic creators that come to conventions like this, if you guys were to give a piece of advice for aspiring comic creators, specifically something that you wish that someone would have told you when you first entered the industry, what would that be?
Don't have a social media. Don't have any social media. Write under a pen name. Disappear after 15 years. Right? Like that would be like the best thing ever.
It sounds like a Tarantino movie.
That's some Prince shit right there. Yeah. You know that one what was it, the reunion situation where Prince comes out and he does a solo, and then when he gets done, he just throws the guitar up in the air and then walks the hell off. You're like, what happened? Was there a dude up in the rafters that caught the guitar? That's what you should do with comics. Like, just Prince it, throw it up.
I'm not joking about the social media thing. It's amazing how many people are not productive because they waste time doing that. Everybody falls into the trap. But one thing that Skottie and I absolutely agree on is the number of people. Everybody's talented. everybody's talented in the industry, of course. Everybody's insanely talented, frankly. Everybody has stuff that they want to say, and all of that kind of junk. The real difference between people who succeed and don't succeed are the guys that will work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Skottie and I always talked about, years ago. I mean, we've probably been talking about it for a decade at this point, which is everybody's really talented in here, but I'm going to outwork every single one of them.
That's it.
And, be a pro. Like that's the key to being a pro is to do pro things, not try as hard as you can to not work.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Like everybody's good. If you're not talented, you're not going to make it. That sucks, but that's true. Right. But, I can't think of anybody who I think is a crazy success in the industry that doesn't work. Really.
No, totally agree. I won't name names because also this person and I are actually very good friends now, but
he's a real lazy piece of shit.
When I was first breaking in, I will be the first to admit that I was getting things and getting books and getting press before I felt that I should have been, but I also did not, that I wasn't like, oh, please take it back. I was just like, no, this is crazy, right? Fake it till you make it. And of course I was not near as good as X amount of people, nor will I ever be. And that's not a faux humble. I'm cocky as hell. So I'm just saying these guys are really good because I'm amazing.
Salt of the earth.
But later on in life, I went and I was hanging out with the certain person, and they said, "Man, I just gotta say, I have to admit to you that me and another person, we would back in that day would sit around, and every time we'd see something of yours, we'd say how the fuck is he getting that? How is he getting that? Based on how I draw and how they drew, how is he getting that?" And they were mad, so mad, and he said we would just stay up. And we talk about it, and it just drove us crazy. And I was like, and I just said back to him, I was like, that's awesome. Because at that same time, I had no idea who you were. And all I did was grind. So that's what I'm saying. The thing is, you can't care about what's going on, what's the new thing, what's everybody fighting about, who's good, who's not, who am I supposed to like, who am I not supposed to like. That was a great moment where they spent more time talking about somebody who was getting things that they wanted or thought they deserved more so than me. And I was just getting it, not caring. And I also would have said, I can't believe that I'm getting it and they're not, right? Because they're better than me. But that doesn't matter. It was just a matter of I'm working and I'm going to work harder and I'm going to keep working harder because this is a crazy job that we get to do. If you were to ever tell me, when you grow up, you're going to play pretend for a living. Go fuck yourself. That's not a job. But I do. We get to sit around and go, pew, 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 pew. What would he say? I don't know, Spider-Man. Let's do it, Spider-Man. Oh, cool, give me my check. It's crazy. So I'm going to work hard.
That's not how I work at all.
That's exactly how he works. He's like, I'm Mr. Fantastic. Look at me, I'm stretchy.
Yo, this is Botter. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I'll keep it brief. I wanted to let you know about a massive sale we have going on over at the Shortbox Store on all of our merchandise and apparel. That's theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com. You can now save 20% off your entire order using the discount code YOO, Y-O-O. So if you've been waiting for the right time to finally buy that gauntlet snapback, or if you ever wanted to buy any of the shirts you see me wear on the podcast, well, now's your chance to get them for a steal. We still have a few sizes left of everything, but they won't last long, and once they're gone, they are gone. And then I mentioned that all of our apparel is screen printed on high quality material. None of that heat transfer or direct to garment stuff. Our shirts are some of the most comfortable ones you'll ever wear, and the hats look even better in person. So wear your support for the Shortbox Nation proudly, knowing that you're going to look damn good doing it. Get to theshortboxstore.bigcartel.com as soon as you can, and don't forget to use that discount code YOO, Y-O-O, to save 20% off your entire order. All of this information can be found in this episode's show notes if you want to get there faster. Thanks for not pressing fast forward. Now back to the show. That's great insight. I appreciate it. I got one more question for you guys, and then we'll pivot to Q&A, which I will say, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask, if you guys want to form maybe a line here in the center, I can come down there with the mic. But if you guys have any questions, I'll get to Q&A right after this. But in closing, I think it's really refreshing to see, the respect that both of you have for each other and, like the sense of brotherhood that emits from both of you. I wanted to ask both of you, when you think about the other person's, career and accomplishments and what they've brought to comics, what are some words that come to mind when you think of the other person's, career? So like Skottie, when you think Jonathan Hickman and what he's brought to comics, what are some of those words that, come to mind?
I'm going to be nice.
I was getting ready to say, I don't know how the fuck you got those gigs.
yeah. When I said I wasn't going to name names, it was me talking about him. Like, I should have been fucking writing that stupid book. Foundation, look at my hexagons. They all go together. It's so designy.
I'm just happy we've moved on from circles.
No, you know what? The thing that I would say is Jonathan elevated. I think Jonathan has elevated this business, elevated our goals for storytelling. I think the way that his brain works and the way that he sees things is just awesome. You look at it and you're like, fuck. I mean, one of the first times, early years and years ago, my friend Drew, I was like, it was kind of during that period of time where the conventions were becoming a little unwieldy for me to do alone. And I had realized it. And I was like, I don't think I can do them alone anymore. I need someone to help me. And I asked my friend Drew to come along. And Drew was just a comic fan. That's it. He hadn't been a part of the industry. And Jonathan, and I said, hey, tonight we're probably I think we're going to dinner with Jonathan and, Matt Fraction and Kelly Sue DeConnigan. He's like, oh, yeah. Like, we're gonna do that. And but Jonathan one night was like, I don't really want to go out. You just want to come up. I think soccer was on, right? Probably. Yeah, and you're like, I think I'm just going to watch the game and order pizza. You guys just want to come up and hang out in the room? We're like, yeah. I was like, are you cool with that, Drew? He's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And we went in. Jonathan has his windows open and dry erase marker all over his windows because he was just working. And like you said a minute ago, like, you work hard, that's where you're getting, but he's elevating it. He's thinking about it. Like, it's not just a person who's like, I got a job writing Spider-Man, so on Thursday, I'll write 20 pages of Spider-Man. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it at the hotel while we're eating pizza. He's elevating not just that issue, he's elevating the craft and putting a bar up there for everyone to be like, well, shit, I got to that's a bar I have to aim at now, which is, I think, you do have giants come along, and at the time, you don't know you're doing that until, listen, guys, I do the baby covers, so I have also been a part of this raising this bar. But anyway, he's pretty fucking awesome, this guy.
I couldn't agree more. That's well said. Jonathan, same
Say
question.
some nice shit about me, Jonathan. Jesus.
I think I seen Skottie slip you a 20 underneath the table. At least 5 nice words.
This guy's like a 20.
No, I'm just kidding. What's tough? It's really tough for me to talk about Skottie and separate the guy that's the super successful, like super successful artist, and a guy who just is kind of like feels exactly the same way that I do about everything in the industry. Right. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we kind of Vulcan mind melded as much as we did, is because we basically have, there are things we obviously disagree about strongly, but like what we think comics should be and how we think this stuff should be done, it is more paramount than anything between us. It's almost irrelevant how we feel about the work that each other does at this point. I don't even think Skottie reads any of my books.
Yeah. They're dense, right? It's hard. You guys try to read Black Monday Murders? It's like, really is it Wednesday now? I don't know. Is it Tuesday Murders? I don't know.
But I think so. Outside of that, like, that's how I think about Skottie all the time. But outside of that, in terms of what he means to the industry, look, I think that there's an entire industry of how you can be a successful artist and not be a Marvel House style guy, whatever that Marvel House style is at the time. And what Skottie has done that is the most important thing is that instead of looking at that as all the books look this way, and then we have this guy whose stuff looks this way, right? instead of that being, but he doesn't draw like them, it's Skottie has turned that into I draw like this and everybody else draws this way. That makes this so much more special. And he turned it into a whole industry of covers, and he turned it into, it's been really fascinating to watch just how more successful he is than a lot of other artists that have what many people would consider more commercial styles.
100%, yeah.
And Skottie is doing books with Neil Gaiman, and all the kind of
versatility.
His shirts are everywhere. Marvel has made more money off of Skottie than any writer that they have in the last 15 years. Like it's an industry unto itself, and it's based entirely on asymmetry, and I think that's awesome.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Fantastic. So taking comics to another level and carving their own lane when it comes to comic books. HeroesCon 2020. Let's give a round of applause to Skottie Young and Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah. Okay, shut up.
All right. No, I do want to.
Jonathan's so mad you guys clapped so long.
It cracks me up because my favorite moment at a con ever was a Marvel Architects panel. I don't know if you remember what that was. That was a big like bullshit kind of branding thing that we did for like five.
Did you see they had a really cool walking photo with all of them? It was
exactly
amazing.
Right. Everybody wear black.
Yeah, AC/DC playing in the background.
And so they were introducing all of us, and they introduced Brian and Matt and Jason and Ed, and then they introduced me, and they cheered louder for me than they did for Ed. And Ed looked at me, and he's like, "They cheered louder for you." He leaned over, and he's like, "This is fucked up.
Yeah, I don't like this at all.
This is not the world I'm supposed to be."
That's great.
I was like, "I'm sorry, Ed."
All right. So I turn it to you guys now. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? All right, saw first hand go up.
Hey there, my name's Noah. This for Skottie. What's happened with the Strange Academy comic?
What's happened with it?
It stopped coming out.
Oh, it's coming back. Yeah, Marvel's doing one of the Marvel things where they're like, last issue, next issue. They paused it, and then I think the new number one. Megan, do we know what's the tentative date? August, September, something like that. It'll be back with the number 1/issue 19. Like in my computer, it says 19, but I think it's going to be a number 1.
And just one more thing.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a TV show?
That is something I don't know. If there is, that'll be cool. It's not anything that we've talked about right now. It's just been me and Umberto kind of having fun and again playing pretend together. So it's I don't know about the TV show side of it, but it is definitely coming back. And this next arc's going to be pretty big. It's going to be cool. I'm excited. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Good
it.
stuff. All right, next question.
Jonathan, what's been the most difficult part of the 3 Worlds, 3 Moons project?
No one knows what it is. It's really, really hard to explain to people. And I've tried to explain that it's watching us make a concept album, is kind of what the premise is. But, people want comics, so we do some comics. But we're just now to the place where we're getting ready to do like our first ongoing and that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's been weird. I think the experience for everybody has been weird. Mike and Mike are having the time of their lives, and the designs look amazing. We just have to figure out, worst case scenario, we just start putting out comic books. Best case scenario, we're putting out all the ancillary stuff and it's working with it at the same time.
Is the idea to have multimedia as well part of that?
Yeah, the idea is to have executable intellectual property that we can do games of and video games and TV stuff and all of that. So it was built with all of that in mind. So if we get there, we get there. If we don't, we'll make cool comics,
I was just wondering, Jonathan, as someone else from Florence, South Carolina, was there any inherent...
I don't live in Florence, South Carolina. That's a lie.
I said from. Was there any inherent difficulty in breaking into the industry in like a not metropolitan area?
Well, I did not break into comics until I was 35 years old, and that was only after I failed trying to get in as an artist for a decade. Like I won the quick draw contest here in 1996 or something like that. Do y'all even do the quick draw contest anymore? All right. Anyway, so
Jonathan's entering. He's gonna lose again. These kids are too good now.
It was my 5th try. I cold submitted to Image, and I didn't know anyone in the industry. I mean, I knew no one. And so my first couple of years, I just had my head down and worked. And then I got invited to Marvel and met people through the retreats and all that kind of stuff. Right. I still don't know. Like when people talk about living in Portland or something like that, where it's like enclaves of comic book people, I don't know that that's entirely beneficial outside of networking, but if you make good books,
you live anywhere.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you. All right, next question.
Hi, this is a question for both of you. As someone who's trying to break out in the comic industry, what's your thought process going into a new series like?
How do you start a new series?
Oh man,
You take a hot shower.
yeah, sometimes actually. No, what I do is I write. I have a note on my phone with just. Anytime something occurs to me that could be a potential seed for a new book, I just write the sentence down, like blank. Oh man, that'd be a lot of times what I will watch something and it'll be this, but then I will question this third tier character in that and be like, well, what's that guy? Like, what's that person's story?
Right, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, what is the story of the person, what's like right now I'm working on something where the key was like, what is, if you have a chosen one and then that's basically like winning the state championship, Harry Potter wins the state championship, right? But what does that guy do when he's 40? He's Al Bundy, right? Like he just keeps talking about winning state. Nobody gives a shit if you won state 30 years ago, right? So like Harry Potter would be like, guys, I beat Voldemort. They're like, yeah, but you're a fucking clown now. Like you work at he
sell shoes.
Yeah, you scratch your balls on television now, right? Like, so I think it's that's for example, like I like. And I just write that stuff down, and then when the schedule opens up, or like right now, Jorge and I are building our next project. It was like, let's go down the list, and I don't like to think too far ahead because I might not be in that headspace when the schedule opens up. I'm very much like, where am I at right now? So but it's also different every time. Like sometimes it's real personal, sometimes it's really surface level. I don't know. It's just random.
Yeah, I think the question is how do you know if something's a good enough project to make a book out of, right? And I think that's a kind of tiered thing. Like have ideas all day long, right? Like, and I have one of these new comics .txt files on my laptop, and it's probably, if you print it out, it's probably 100 pages at this point.
Right.
And it's insane stuff. Like I looked at it the other day, and I have like in all caps bolded exclamation point planned obsolescence. Nothing else, just that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not an idea.
I don't know why Lori doesn't read his comics. Yeah. I don't even know.
But what happens is that you keep noodling on the ideas, and the ones that stick around, like the one, and so you think about it a little bit more, and you write a little bit of it, right? And but you put it back away, and then the ones that you can't stop thinking about, and you just have to keep writing. That's a book worth doing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good question.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good shirt, Skull Chaser. Jake Parker, baby.
Yeah. All right, give me your name and then.
My name's Josh, and kind of just want to geek out for a second. I'm a big fan of you guys.
Thank you.
2 Substack subscriptions, and you guys are the 2 that I have.
Oh, thanks, brother.
But yeah, Jake Parker's been helping me out. I do Zoom Hangouts. He's been trying to help me level up with my art.
He's amazing. Amazing guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, I kind of am picking back off that last question, where when you're kind of starting out and you're like, all right, I need to stop just doodling. I need to plan a comic that I can just dive into and learn along the way.
Right.
How do you pick one of those hundreds of ideas that you might have and be like, this is the one that's going to be my like intro?
I will speak to this because Jonathan watched me go through this process, having drawn comics for so long and then starting to write here and there and then deciding to write my own thing and move on. I struggled with that a lot because I thought, man, I have this huge hill to climb. Like I've got to prove, like I'm not just an artist. I also am a genius. Right? But I don't know that. Like you're just like, and so once I let that go, my philosophy now is whichever one you have, like Jonathan said, whichever one you can't let go of, just do it. But remember, you got more time to do the others. Like it's the being too obsessed with one and thinking that's the it is what hobbles you, because you stop thinking about, you won't walk anymore. You won't go forward anymore you just stay there and go like, which one's the best? Let's do nothing. But what you really want to do is go like, this one's the best right now. Let's do it. It might work, it might not, and then I'll do the next one, and then I'll do the next one. And once you get that inertia, that it starts to just go. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, I'm 20 books later. Like, it's not making... My number one rule in life is not to be precious. Just don't be precious about anything. Just treat it like it's this week and we'll see what happens next week, or this month and we'll see what happens next month. But the number one thing to do in what we do is do it. Make the comic.
Yeah, you're an artist first, primarily?
Yeah, I started as an artist.
Yeah, so you have such an incredible advantage because you don't have to, like, you get to set yourself up. Like, if you're shitty at drawing cars, there's no cars in your book, right? You don't have some writer putting in that there are cars in your book. Like, and the beautiful thing about it is that this is a visual medium. So you're already winning if you're a decent artist, right? And so all you need to do is set yourself up to succeed. So whatever your concept is that's the coolest, and you only draw pages that you know you can murder, you know? I would just jump into it, and then, you know, as you're drawing the pages, it's okay to dialogue. It's okay to have a script, but don't be afraid to just, as your head is taking you somewhere, just write the dialogue. Yeah, just put the dialogue in the margin, you know, and that is how Mike Mignola does every single one of his books. Yeah, like it's and it's a visual medium, so you're ahead of the game. Just make a good book.
Yeah. Just whatever. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, 1 page, 2 pages, 10 pages, whatever. Yeah. Middle West came
just
from...
Just don't do 500 pages.
Yeah. Middle West came from a daily sketch. I do a sketch early in the morning each day, and I did a daily sketch of a kid talking to an old farmer, and the kid said, you don't look like a wizard. Like, and I drew the drawing. I didn't know what I was going to have the people say. I just drew a kid looking at a farmer holding a rake. And then I was like, okay, what are they going to say? And the kid, and I was like, ooh, you don't look like a wizard. And the farmer says, what's a wizard look like? And then Middle West came from that. So it's like, that's the beauty of comics, man. There's no wall, there's no hurdles, there's no gatekeepers. It's just whatever. We're like the last medium, besides maybe music. But I mean, that's still just such a different storytelling art form. We're the last ones to tell like fully narrative storytelling where you can do it by yourself in a room with pencil or a computer or whatever, and then share it with the world instantly. It's great. So yeah, don't have any rules, just run at, just get it.
Great answers.
Thanks, man.
Good
Great question.
Man. Thank you. All right, give us your name and your question.
Thomas, a huge fan of both of you. This is mostly for Sky. Recently, after several years of after leaving a wave of destruction and death, why did you decide to bring I Hate Fairyland back into?
I just miss it. Like, I never intended to end it and then never come back. I even say it. I think I wrote a piece in the back of the last issue of 20 and said, "Hey, this is just the ending for now," because I just needed to rest. And take a break and a breather and see. I still had very young. My youngest son was very young when Fairyland was still going. So I always intended to bring it back. And, after so long of being away, I don't know, it just started itching. And then there was a couple artists that I really dug. And then we decided to do the Untold Tales stuff. And I got a lot of other cartoons. So it really was just like I missed it. I missed that bombastic, free form. I can be inspired by oh man, Pacific Rim was wacky. I'm gonna do a freaking kaiju issue. That's the kind of book I can do that with, and I missed that kind of instantaneous kind of gratification.
Just a quick question with Hickman. Love the run on X-Men. I noticed with X-Men, it seems like they're all in one place now. How do you keep track of what characters are where? Because it seems like every issue of X-Men, the previous volume was almost a new team every week. How do you keep track of who's where and doing what?
I mean, I guess you're talking about like my actual like X-Men run.
Yeah.
That book shouldn't have been called X-Men. Like it wasn't going to be called X-Men. It was just going to be like stories of the mutant stories in the Marvel universe. And then we were going to wait and have an X-Men team, which would have been Jerry's first, that big book that Jerry did. So we would have taken the X-Men off the shelf, but sales and marketing doesn't appreciate that perspective.
X-Men wasn't really an X-Men title.
Yeah, no, it absolutely, it wasn't meant to be an X-Men title, but, how do I keep track of it? I just wrote what I wanted to every month. Sorry.
Thanks, Van.
Thank you,
Questions,
thank you.
brother.
All right, we got 2 more. Give me your name and question.
I'm Kevin, and this is for Mr. Hickman. We know that Kevin Feige and the Marvel Studios people use your creation for Infinity War. I just was curious about what was it like? Were you asked to consult, or are there any cool behind-the-scenes stories about pre-production or anything like that?
When they use your stuff, did they send you a car?
Oh, yeah, like a Matchbox car, though.
It's really bifurcated. Like we don't get in with those guys or anything like that. I mean, I do stuff in LA and all that, but it's cool when it shows up there. My kid thinks it's cool, which makes me feel good about it, right? Like my kid thinks I don't suck entirely, which is good. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm super happy that Marvel's the biggest entertainment brand in the world and that I get to work there. All the stuff about our creators fairly compensated and all of that, I'm sure. I agree, I guess, with that.
For sure, yeah.
But I feel like I'm appreciated and taken care of for the most part. We'll see what happens when they bring Fantastic Four stuff in there. They better not use that Mark Waid shit. Is what I'm saying.
Good stuff. Thank you. All right, last question, gents. All right, give me your name and your question.
My name is Kelsey. This is a question for Skottie, but it could be either one. So they had mentioned the returning of Fairyland and stuff like that. Is it hard to give up like full control over that, where you're doing the writing and the art and then bringing in other artists? Is that, difficult to like pass that off, and would you want to still be doing it even though it's exhausting, obviously?
Yeah. I always thought it was going to be, but I've been really lucky. I've been lucky because of when I chose to start writing. I've been in a place in the industry where I get to choose who that is that works with me. And one of the great things, and Jonathan's been lucky in this realm as well, is like when you're an artist, you understand art. You understand you understand it. When I work with Nick Klein on Deadpool, I've been friends with Nick Klein for very long time. So all I did was I get 3 of my Nick Klein trades off the shelf, and I just flip pages like this. I don't even read it. I just am looking. And it's almost like a computer where I'm like, cool, okay, he likes to do 3 medium shots and then this. Yep. And then he likes to do this. He doesn't do that many down shots. He does this or whatever, right? Yep. And then you just lock all that in. And so when you're writing, you start thinking about what he dunks on. And then also like, okay, I'd also like to see him. Let's see if he can add an extra spin before that dunk and challenge him a little bit, but always give him room. That's my favorite part. So because I've had control over who I work with, I've never had a problem with handing it over. I'm more excited because to me, I've always said it to me, once I got on the writing side, it was the first time I ever felt like I was actually collaborating. Now, and I don't want that sounds like a diss to the writers that I've worked with, but as the artist, you're like, they've already went off. They're well ahead of you by the time it lands on my desk. So I never felt like we were like making this together. It was just like, I'm doing it and you're off doing another thing. So the sense of, now I love the end product, but the sense of collaboration, people would be like, how is it collaborating? I'm like, I didn't. I just would be in a house by myself drawing words on a page. With this on my creator owned stuff, we talk from the beginning, the conception of it to the very end. So we are one the whole time. So I love getting Humberto Ramos. I mean, getting an Humberto Ramos pages in your email every day is like,
not bad.
It's fucking amazing. That dude's like, in his late 40s, he's been in this business 35 years. He's still drawing like he needs dinner tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like he's still he draws like he's still trying to prove that he needs to be able to break in. And when you see that, you're like, I don't even get you. So to me, no, it's not about losing control. I don't lose control. I'm gaining a whole new appreciation for an industry that I've been in for 20 years. You know, I've been in it my entire adult life. No college, straight to this. And so to be reinvigorated and falling back in love with this medium through a different lens and feeling like I'm learning again and I'm watching Jorge or Kyle on Twig, just like, whoa, I didn't think of it. Like I wrote, they're walking across a bridge and then Kyle draws this weird, trippy ass bridge. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't think of that. That's what it's like having, like, I would imagine having a jam band where you're just going out and you start playing and then all of a sudden. Yeah. So yeah, for me, I've never felt for a minute that I'm like, God, I wouldn't have done it like that. I'm like, man, I'm so glad he did it like that. He or she or whoever I'm working with. Yeah. Cool.
And one other thing, just to follow up on that.
Sure.
Are we going to see any more Uncle Ewan variants on the series at all?
My gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the painter, right?
Art from him for a couple of those covers. They're incredible.
He's amazing. Yeah, I need to reach back out to him.
I would love to see him.
He's talking about there's an artist in England who just did, like, just for fun, one of his friends drew a Gert for My Fairyland and he painted it. He's got this crazy, like, Bisley painting style.
I haven't seen this.
So for the variant covers, he doesn't. Thanks for the support, John. No, but for the variant covers.
Yeah, I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, what's his name?
It's Ewan again, I think.
Yeah, it's
Ewan McLaughlin, I think
right.
is his name.
And I would just send him pencils and he would Bisley over it.
Oh, nice.
And it's just bonkers awesome. So no,
is it analog or is it?
Yeah, actual painting on paper. Yeah. Nice. So yeah, we'll probably reach out to him for a thing. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks. Great question.
Good stuff. Thank you guys so much. Those were some fantastic questions. Thank you guys so much for showing up to this panel. I think there's another one right after this one. But before we do that, let's give it up one more time for our esteemed panel, Skottie Young, Jonathan Hickman.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Fantastic.